Welcome back, explorers. I'm David, that's Wesley, and this is the Trailcast.
Weekly show that gets so far off track, you'll have to stick around to see just where we end up. David, it's this.
What's up? Nobody's actually catching fire, but today we are talking about Hunger Games catching fire.
Burnout.
No fun.
Okay, David, I have a problem that I need to address here really quickly. I was thinking about this earlier today. So our tagline for this show is the weekly show that gets so far off track, you'll have to stick around to see just where we end up. You structure this thing way too well for us to get off track anymore. I have a bone to pick with you now.
Well, I mean, our conversations still go all over the place.
Yeah, fair enough.
But talking about structure.
What do you think, Sarah? What do you think, Sarah, as a listener of the podcast?
My nose itches.
Thank you for that.
That's what I'm thinking about right now. So I wasn't really listening.
I listened to a podcast my sister Taylor got me listening to. And they start off the podcast with the main guy's thoughts. And they're always random. So that's how they start the podcast off. So we're not doing that today with Sarah's random thoughts. But thank you for your input.
That was random, but
Okay.
All right,
So
David.
I did the same, but
All right,
we're not
David.
going to do it. Move on.
all
All right, David, get us back on track.
So yeah, today we're talking about Hunger Games catching fire, and after that we've got Trailcast trivia and what's new with you. So yeah, and well, actually, an actual what's new with you. An actual what's new with you, because for the past 6 weeks we've just been talking about Ahsoka.
Sadly, nothing's new.
Well, we'll get to that when we get to it. All right.
Right.
So, who wants to go ahead and start off the conversation about catching fire?
I think Wesley does.
Okay.
I do. Okay. Okay. So, watched Catching Fire the other night. I thought it was good. I mean, it's a good franchise. I mean, I feel like it's a little bit. I mean, it's not underrated. But it's an the last movie came out in 2015 or 2016. Sarah, you can correct me on this because you should know.
I don't know years.
Okay. Well, it came out like almost 10 years ago.
That period is about right, but I don't know the exact year.
Yeah. It's like 8 to 10 years ago, so it's obviously going to start ramping up a little bit more with the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes coming out in a couple months here, in a month.
Yeah,
It's still due to release.
It comes out next month.
So it's going to ramp up a little bit, but I feel like it's still an underrated franchise, even with that. But it's a good movie. I liked it. It's, in this one, we'll dive into it a little bit more, but they do the exact same thing that they did in the first one because it's a year after, and they go to the 75th Hunger Games. They do the same thing. They go into the Hunger Games. They show different aspects of it because they have already been through one. But it is also nice how they change up enough of it. Like, they change up the fact that past tributes who have won are now the tributes in this Hunger Games. This Hunger Games, the 75th Hunger Games, never ends, technically, because a rebellion is being started and
Sarah has a comment.
I will shut up now because Sarah's probably going to correct me on something.
It's not true. The events of the Mockingjay are somewhat jokingly considered the 76th Hunger Games, but also technically everyone who survived the 75th Hunger Games is a victor because they got out alive, and that's the only requirement.
Well, yes, I mean, I understand that. But as far as regularity of the Hunger Games, it was never completed because it wasn't on down to a single victor.
Neither was the
But that
74th.
is neither was the 74th. So the last true Hunger Games was the 73rd. And like you said, um, what's the face for it, David?
Hmm.
David is
Last
always
time.
making that face.
Okay, that's fine. The last time they had a single
Unfortunately.
victor
Okay, yeah.
was the 74th Hunger Games.
73rd.
73rd Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. People talking. I have the floor. Shut up. Anyways, with all that being said, like it's a good movie. Finnick is, and Peter's looking pretty good too. So
Peeta looks a lot better in this one than in the last one.
Mm-hmm. Now,
And that's
we were
coming
talking
from
about
somebody who is a Peeta girl from the start.
one thing that one thing that I kind of thought of when I was watching this movie. Now, I know, before we'd say, when we talked about Lord of the Rings, we talked about how that's probably the best book to movie adaptation. This one is not perfect, but I think this one is really good for a book to movie adaptation.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm.
There's a lot of scenes that are specifically like the dialogue are basically just pulled right off the page.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that are left out, if most of them, if you're looking for them, like if you know to look for them because you've read the books, you'll see them. And the ones that aren't there, like Mags, not Mags, Mags is there. Madge in the first book.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's in the second book too, but doesn't exist in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
So Katniss gets the pin from the Hob instead, and that's like one of the biggest changes. That's the only one I really have a problem with, honestly, like off the top of my head. But otherwise, they do a really good job of like keeping the events of the books, but also still telling a cohesive
Mm-hmm.
story that you can do in under 3 hours.
And again, it really is hard to adapt a book to screen because you do have to condense a lot of the events of the books.
Particularly, sorry, go ahead.
Well, and I was say that's why you have like certain side characters and stuff missing from the movie, and certain events that you don't see in the actual film.
Yeah. Particularly because all of the whole entire series is written from the perspective of Katniss.
Mm-hmm.
So generally, there's a book to movie adaptation that is taken from a first perspective book. It's just like constant narration, which I'm glad they didn't do because that just gets annoying.
Mm-hmm.
But they do a good job of like showing, not telling.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that you mentioned with this, Sarah, how they do it like have to condense it down in under 3 hours. Both of these movies are long movies. This one that we just watched, Catching Fire, was 2.5 hours, and it does have a lot of ground to cover in a very short amount of time. I mean, watching a movie, yeah, 2.5 hours is a long time, but it's a short amount of time to tell a lengthy story, and I do think they go about doing it in a really good way. They set up things that they need to set up. They, hit the main plot points that they need to hit within the story. One thing I noticed again in this one that also happened in the first one, we don't get into the arena until an hour into the movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's all that setup, hour worth of setup before we actually get to the main action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna bring that up because I watched the CinemaSins video earlier in preparation, and that's one of his biggest gripes, and it's a gripe that I've heard from other people is like, oh, it's a Hunger Games movie, and the Hunger Games doesn't even start until it's like an hour and a half in. I think he said it's like 81 minutes exactly or something like that. But specifically with this one, the games aren't the point of the
Mm-hmm.
movie. Like the rebellion is the point of the movie. The games are an effect of that.
And that's why it takes such a long time to get to that because it's building up all of the building up and fleshing out all of the political turmoil in Pan Am that you see from the first Hunger Games.
And even in the book, the games go by extremely quickly.
Yes.
Like it's mentioned several times, like how quickly people die in like the first couple days, and then it's not much longer after that before, it's down to the last little group of them, and they start setting up the trap.
Mm.
I think one thing too, with all that in mind, is specifically from the first one, like you said in this one, it's setting up stuff with the rebellion, but it's also like if you start a movie off and all you have is action, you don't have any character development. And that's really what they're doing in the first one. It might hit about an hour before you get into the action of the movie in the Hunger Games. But throughout that first hour you're watching the movie, you are getting to know Katniss, you are getting to know Peeta, and you're like, I don't want to see these people get hurt. You might mention some other characters here and there too, like you're really latching onto them. Same with the beginning of this one here. You're like, oh, they're going. You feel more for them, and it makes the games that much more like intense because you have an attachment to all these characters, and you've been growing attached to these characters for a longer period of time than just like 20-30 minutes in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. First one also has the job of doing all of the world building. I mean, like if you haven't read the books, you don't go into the first games knowing what the Hunger Games is, what a reaping is. You don't know what the capital is or what the citizens are like. Like
Mm.
you don't know what District 12 does. You didn't even know there were 12 districts. So like there's a lot that gets covered, and it's not like just complete exposition dump either. Like they do it in a good way.
Mm.
Yeah. But David, I mentioned this to Sarah earlier today when we were talking about stuff for this. And how she's mentioned many times when we're watching through the movie, she's like, oh, this scene is word for word out of the book. And we've talked about this before, particularly usually with Star Wars, but how I think we mentioned with the Knights of the Old Republic video game. They're doing a remake of it, and we're like, we don't care if you do the same story, you just make it a better video game, like an updated video game. We just want to see what we love, the story that we loved. It's the same thing here. Is like, they went into it. They were like, oh, well, people have already read this. Should we subvert expectations? No. Let's go into it and make the story that the fans want to see. Like, you read it here. Here's what you envisioned. Here's what I envisioned. This is what it looks like to watch what
Mm.
you read.
And that goes back to my point. If you're saying like, it's not perfect, but like I said, I think this is a very good book to movie adaptation. Now, granted, it has been a long time since I've read the books. Um, I I was thinking about that earlier because I'm in the middle of reading Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes right now, and I
Have
was
you read
thinking,
it before?
hmm?
Have you read the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes before?
No, I'm reading it before the movie comes out. I want to finish it before the movie comes out.
Okay.
But I was thinking about it, I'm like I probably should have reread the original trilogy before diving into that and before we actually talked about it on the podcast. But like I said, from what I remember, and because I also remember watching the movies after I read the books, and they were from what I remember that they followed the books very well.
Yeah, Hunger Games was one of the series that I would read about yearly growing up. I mean, like, give or take, I might miss a year. I might read it twice the next year. But so I've read the series probably at least like 6 times, and there is stuff that's left out, but it's nothing that's like not understandable.
Hmm. Yeah, and like I said, you're going to get that in any adaptation because they do have to condense an entire book into like I was looking at the audiobook for the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is 16 hours. So I
It's
don't
a
know,
long book.
and I know it's the longest of the four, but still imagine condensing that into 2.5 hours. That's hard.
Maybe it'll come out and then we'll find out it's a part one.
I kind of hope that's what they're gonna do, because yeah, but we're not
I
talking
will
about
say
that today.
that book would be very easily split into two parts because there's like a very clear like act one and act two sort of.
And more money. Studios love that. So off of some of that stuff, let's talk a little bit about different parts of the movie, because we're breaking down a lot of the from one to another ratio, book to movie ratio, how it looks, from one to the other. I'm looking here at your outline that you have here, and starting off with the victory tour that they go on. Now they go on this victory tour. Start off the movie. It's it's for the Capitol. It's not for them. It's for the Capitol. And they pay tribute to the other tributes. So they first go to District 11, and they have speech, which I don't remember. I did watch the CinemaSins video earlier today as well, Sarah. But I don't remember, and maybe you remember this. But in that scene, a couple of things happen. First off, in all honesty, I don't think Katniss says anything wrong that should be like. She doesn't say anything to evoke rebellion. She's like, basically, I'm sorry for what happened to Rue. Also, you've made this comment to me. I don't outright know this, but the three fingers up and the whistling is, or three fingers at least, is a sign of like it's used in District 12 for death. Correct, Sarah?
For funerals, yeah.
Funerals. So, that being done in District 11 doesn't really make. I mean, and Sarah, I want you to elaborate on this a little bit more because you'll know more of the ins and outs for it. But whether or not he didn't say anything to evoke them to do that, but it's kind of like, and this is Sarah, explain this to me because I'm lacking the knowledge here. Why is that right off the bat seen as an act of rebellion? Because had that become the symbol of the rebellion at this point in time, or was it just, what was it? Because that's a sign of death, or done at funerals in District 12, and that would be them kind of showing respect to her and respect for Rue.
So one thing I'll say right off the bat, because I've also heard other people say this, is like, oh, well, why would they use it if it's a District 12 thing? We don't know that it's not used in the other districts. We just know that it is used in 12. Even if it isn't used in the other districts, Katniss does that to Rue when she dies. So the entire, it's Rue is the District 11 tribute. They all would have been watching. And they would all know that at least the significance to Katniss, even if it's not a cultural thing for them. In my opinion, it's not. I think the Capitol screwed up here because I think they could have not done this and it would have incited less anger than if they hadn't just killed the guy. But it's not necessarily a symbol of the rebellion yet. The Mockingjay pin more is, but it's more just Katniss herself is the symbol of the rebellion. So showing solidarity is in and of itself kind of siding with the rebellion at that point. Because as much as she doesn't want to be at that point, that's what the people see her as.
Yeah.
I had something else. What was I going to say? I don't know.
Bang your head on the table. Okay. Well, she did it, so that have a way
If
with
it's important,
words.
it'll come to me.
What are your thoughts on all that, David?
Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Sorry, David.
Shut up, David.
You don't get to talk. Also, and this has gone into the books a little bit more, but it's also kind of demonstrated in the movies. The Peacekeepers in 12 in the second movie they get more, and we'll get into that later. But the peacekeepers in 12 in the first movie can barely really be called peacekeepers because they kind of just let everything slide as long as they can benefit from it. And they buy meat from Katniss and Gale, even though hunting is illegal. So like Katniss grew up with that sort of environment, and it's her and Rue talk about it in the first one that the peacekeepers in District 11 are like way stricter. Like Rue talks about there was this is only from the books. They get these glasses that help them see in the night. And Rue talks about how they use them in District 11 because she climbs in the trees at night, so she needs them. And she talks about how there was a boy who was like special needs who like tried to take the glasses home and like hid them when he was like leaving, and the peacekeepers just like shot him on the spot. So that's also probably part of it, is that, you know, if that had happened in District 12 before, I don't remember the new peacekeeper's name, Ugly over there, before he gets there, that kind of thing probably wouldn't have happened in District 12 just because they were kind of lax. But in District 11, it probably took a lot less to be seen as rebelling.
All right, David. If you feel like you should talk now, we will allow it, but we'd rather you didn't.
Well, fine then. I won't.
Good. We're just gonna have you. No. There's no crickets, David. We're talking. You're just producing this one, all right? You're gonna be our producer for the day. Isn't this what me and Maggie did to you, or did y'all do it to me? I don't remember. I think we did it to you. And she was on a couple months
pretty
back.
Much.
Yeah. I'm already a talker. I already talk too much on this podcast as it is. So if we have someone else on, then it's just going to be a two-way conversation, and you're just going to be sitting there looking stupid. But I mean, you can't really help it. You were born that way.
I don't know. Sarah and I kind of did that to you with the Lord of the Rings episode, but
that was always going to happen.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on talking for that one. I came in and was ready to take a nap, so what I did. Okay, so anger aside, because I feel like that is one good aspect. Like, I think that it's a tribute to the acting and the way that they just made the movies. You really want to just kill anyone from the Capitol because you're mad at them, and you know, I guess that's a credit to their acting, or maybe they're just real douchebags. But anyways, so Sarah, thought. Oh, Katniss is threatened by Snow.
Yeah.
Well, I just like it is. So Katniss is threatened by Snow, and he threatens to kill her whole family if she does not comply because of the act of rebellion that she's shown. Now, in the past, and the one example that the only example that I know is, hey, Mitch, Snow has just a warning. He's just killed because of like, hey, Mitch made the Capitol look stupid in Snow's eyes, and so Snow had all his family killed. Katniss gets a warning. Now, Snow, essentially from the beginning, really has his eyes on Katniss. I mean, in the first movie, he's talking to whatever his name is, the game master guy.
Seneca Crane.
Yeah. He's talking to him, and he's like, you gave her a 10 or something for the rankings? And he was like, well, she was good. And he was like, she shot an arrow at you. So the whole entire time, he's having these conversations, and he's having his eye on Katniss. So, that all being said, he does not like Katniss. Why do you think that he gives Katniss a chance? Is it because of the fact that the people are looking to Katniss for hope, and that he knows that it's going to really be bad if he just wipes her out? Or, like, what if he doesn't wipe her out, but he kills everyone else? He could kill everyone else and...
he definitely didn't want to kill her because then she would just become a martyr. But I think even if they had just like murdered her entire family, the plan originally before the Quarter Quell was for Katniss to convince everyone that she wasn't rebelling at all. And if that had worked out for the Capitol, it would have worked out really well. So I think that if he had just come right out of the gate and murdered her entire family, there's no way you're going to get her to cooperate. And if anything, she's probably going to help the rebellion more. So I think that's the main reason, is just like he was trying to do something a little more diplomatic at first, and then when that didn't work, he turns to the Quarter Quell.
That's fair. The one thought I had with it too is that, you know, obviously it doesn't work out well for Snow in the long term. But like, it's interesting that that's the route he takes, because you see it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong from the books. In the movie, at least, you see nobody's buying the love story. Nobody's buying it. So if the districts don't buy it, that's who needs to buy it. If the districts don't buy it, they're like, hey, tell us what you really think. Tell us, lead us. Like, they're looking for a leader, they're looking to her. No. And they understand the limitations that Katniss probably has. They understand the strictness of the Capitol. I mean, they have peacekeepers running around shooting them if they step out of line even just an inch. So, like, is it really that much better for him to have gone that route? Obviously, that's the route he took. I'm just making conversation. So, is it really? I mean, like, obviously, I don't know if there's a way that it works out better, because the rebellion had been planning an uprising for a while and had been figuring out how to go about doing that. So I think Snow, like, a system run by fear is eventually going to fall, because people aren't going to allow that for forever, you know.
Well, Snow himself even admits that it's fragile to Katniss. I mean, she says it must be fragile if it can be taken down by a couple berries, and he's like, yeah, it is. Um, but in my opinion, it was never gonna work. And even if they had convinced everyone that they were madly in love with each other, it still wouldn't have worked, because the point isn't, in my opinion, their Katniss's actual intentions when she pulled out the berries, because the end result was still that she put the Capitol in between a rock and a hard place, and that was never going to change. No matter whether she did it because she wanted to not kill PETA, or if she did it because she was trying to start a rebellion. And if you look like at her actual intentions, her intentions are basically just, hey, like she's not madly in love with the guy yet. It's like, hey, I don't want to kill you. You don't want to kill. You're definitely not going to kill me. And they have to have a victor. So if we both die, they don't have a victor. And it's basically just like that 1+1 thinking. It's not like, ooh, I'm gonna do something evil and put the Capitol in a tough position. And it's also not like, oh, if he dies, I'll never find love again. No, she does say like if she killed him, she could never forgive herself. But like, you know.
Yeah. That's one thing that me and David mentioned in the past one, is that and apparently I think it gets mentioned somewhere. It might have been CinemaSins that I heard this from. But Katniss isn't a killer, despite the fact that they keep talking about how much of a killer she is. She only kills one person in the Hunger Games. Kato is a mercy kill, and all the other ones are just kind of killed by what she does, less of what she actually killing them. So she's not. She doesn't like the system. She's against the system. So, like you said, like, there's no reason for her to want to kill PETA, and PETA's not aggressive to her, so he has no reason to want to kill her either.
Another thing is, like right at the beginning of the Quarter Quell, PETA gets stuck in the water and kills the guy to get out. And the CinemaSins guy, I don't remember his name, whatever. He's like, wow, that was pretty like 0 to 100 for a guy who's never killed anyone. PETA did kill people in the Hunger Games. I don't know why he thinks that he didn't. He
Mhm.
has at least 2 confirmed kills, and it's possible he had more when he was with the Careers.
So I heard something about, and I wasn't paying attention that hard, but I think it was the girl that they scared in the woods, who was making the fire. The girl, and that. So apparently they killed her and never heard the cannons go off. So they sent, apparently, what I heard, I don't know this for a fact, you can correct me, but apparently they sent PETA back to kill her. So
Yeah.
is that one of the kills that he's confirmed to have, or
That's one, and then Foxface is also one.
which one's that?
That's the girl who eats the berries.
Oh yeah, well I mean, he doesn't really do that on purpose.
Well, no, but I mean, like, you can't really say that PETA went through the games and came out innocent either.
No, he didn't. I will say though, I am kind of shocked to hear that he would have actually gone back and killed that one girl, you know, because that was like a douchebag move on the Career's part. Like they were making fun of
Well,
killing this innocent little girl.
At the same time, he was trying to. His goal was to help Katniss, and to do that, he had to convince them that he was helping them.
Yeah, yeah.
One thing about PETA is that he is constantly underestimated, and like he's actually probably one of the smartest people in the entire series. Like he knows how to play people, like not even like a fiddle because he doesn't even have to try that hard. He plays people like a triangle. He's just like ding 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 ding, and they just do what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, I think it's in this one where I mentioned it to you when we were watching it. I can't remember if it was when he was drowning the guy or if it was after they had gone back to the cornucopia and they were on it and they got jumped after they met the other people. I don't remember if it was then or then, but where Peter was in a one-on-one fight with someone, and he did something or something or another, and I was like, it's underestimated just how, like they mentioned in the first movie, but it's really brushed aside. Peeta is strong. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's not a
Yeah.
small guy. He's strong. He's big. He can fight. Like in the first movie, Kato's seen as this big buff, jacked guy who can just rip people's heads off, and it's like Peeta may not just look that part off the bat, but he's not that far off from it.
I don't know this for a fact, but I feel like it was kind of implied that PETA is physically stronger than Kato. Kato just has a lot more skill.
Well,
And they're close enough that the strength doesn't really make enough of a difference.
well, and
Now, if you're counting Thresh, Thresh had the skill and could probably throw PETA around like a sack of potatoes.
Why I don't understand how in the books Thresh is killed by Kato. It makes more sense in the movies.
Well, he technically might not have been. He could have been killed by the Mutts.
Oh, I thought that it was confirmed that he was killed by the. That's all I've heard, that he was killed by the Kato in the books.
He dies off screen and Kato goes after him, so it's kind of implied, but also the Mutts come after him soon.
So
In the books,
the
there's a
Mutts
little
make
bit
more
of a gap there, so it wouldn't have been the Mutts. But he still could have died, from something else.
And also, I mean, Kato is a career, so he could have gotten the upper hand, but it's just like you look and see how jacked Fresh is, and like he has some skill behind it too, and it's like, sure, but Kato would have had to have some advantage to have been able to, best him in a fight. Seemingly,
Fresh
obviously,
was also, sorry, Fresh was also much more self-sufficient than any of the careers were. Like he didn't have a big pile of food. He went and got his own food because he I guess worked with grains and stuff in District 11. So he just went off into the field and ate grass.
That's one thing the careers kind of had a disadvantage in, is they weren't, they were very heavily skilled in the fighting aspects of the Hunger Games, but their main strategy for survival was just capture the cornucopia and cut off the rest of the tributes from the supplies.
Yeah,
They
which
did,
it would have worked. But
yeah, but they didn't have to. A lot. I feel like a lot of them didn't see the need for learning how to forage and actually survive because, like I said, that was their plan. They just capture the cornucopia and they have all the supplies they need.
well, and they also usually are more likely to get sponsors than the other day.
Mm,
Even after the food is blown up, they're probably not starving. They just, instead of getting sponsors for weapons or whatever else they might need, they have to use it on food.
mm-hmm.
Okay, so next up would probably be the Quarter Quell, the third Quarter Quell, 25 years in between 75th Hunger Games. Now, this one, the little thing they change up in this one is that they have the tributes will be reaped from the existing winners. Now, this is something that is shown to have been the game master's idea, who is apparently part of the rebellion, kind of plain snow. So this obviously was a plan of theirs to, I guess, in a way, isolate Katniss, I guess, and then be able to extract her so that they can get her to
Mhm.
the rebellion, where she can lead the rebellion as a figurehead, more or less. So I don't know what thoughts David has on this, but you raised your hand, Sarah, so we'll hand that off to you, and then
I just wanted to clear
from
up
there.
a little bit of a common misconception. So every quarter quell is not reaped from the existing pool of victors. Each quarter quell has a different rule. And Hamish won the second quarter quell. I might just not know, but as far as I know, nobody really knows what happened in the first one. Um,
I was about to ask what that one was.
I don't know, and I as far as I know, it's never talked about. But the second one is double the amount of people, so it's 2 girls and 2 boys, 48 total instead of 24. Um, it's the quarter quell is supposed to be like the rules that they pick out were supposed to be like set out from the beginning, um, when the Hunger Games started, but it's very heavily implied and probably definitely true that they added or if not added they chose to pick that one instead of making it random because they wanted to kill Katniss. Plutarch wanted to get her somewhere that he could get her away.
Mm. Well,
David?
and like I think what you were saying with that is that the each quarter quell they when the Hunger Games were established they kind of had like rules they could put in for quarter quells. That's what we're
Yeah,
saying.
I mean it's a
Okay.
scene in the movie you see Snow like pick out an envelope and read it, kind of like they
Okay.
do for the reaping. But I think we can all agree that there's no way that that was just accidentally the one that he picked.
Hmm. But I mean, if you think about that too, before um Katniss and Peter won, that wouldn't have really worked. I'd say if they hadn't won the 74th, that wouldn't have really worked because there wouldn't have been enough tributes from at least District 12.
Well, I think
Yeah, and that. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think another thing, and this is what's one thing that Simonson's mentioned that does kind of make some sense, is you're telling me that there are enough survivors, winners from each district that you can choose a boy and a girl from each district. Like there are that many winners that are still alive. Like how like obviously it's not like any the odds are even within them all. Like obviously skill and other things, but depending on how the arena goes, anyone can win. Um, but like obviously the careers tend to win these more often than not. So districts 1, 2, maybe 3 and 4, sometimes they tend to have more winners than a lot of the later districts. So you're telling me though that there's like, is Katniss the only one that's the only person? Like she's definitely going to go in. There has to be the same thing going on with some of the other districts as well.
No, so they don't specifically say who, but there are a couple other districts, and it's also only the girls. All of the districts, I guess, had multiple male winners, but Katniss mentions that there's a couple other girls who like they didn't have a chance of not going in again. I think Joanna might be one of them if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Axe Lady.
Yeah.
But another point talking about the movie too that I know we mentioned last time, but casting in these movies is amazing. Like,
I think Haymitch's casting is phenomenal. It's
mm,
one that's a little bit underrated, but Woody Harrelson just like knocks it out of the park.
mm,
Yeah, he does a good job at this.
It's Woody Harrelson, so what can you expect? But I mean, like,
mm,
there's
Not many
also
things
a
he
lot
doesn't
of
do a good
like
job in.
pretty A-list actors in there, considering I mean, Hunger Games was a successful book series before it was a movie. But I mean, the budget for the first one wasn't insane. And you still have I don't remember their names, like the actors' names, but the guy who plays Caesar Flickerman, the guy who plays Luke Heavensby, they're all pretty. And Jennifer Lawrence had even been in a couple big things. This was like kind of her defining role, I guess, but
I mean,
still,
she'd already done it.
X-Men.
X-Men First Class, yeah. So
Yeah.
And while she's not like the main character in that one specific, I mean, she is a pretty big character in it. But like,
she's one of the three
she's
main
still
characters, but
yeah, she's
I mean,
still
you
she's
have
still big enough to be considered an A-lister in that movie, and she's still a big actress to get for this role.
mm,
you have the lesser Hemsworth brother. It's the lesser one, but it's still a Hemsworth brother. And Josh Hutcherson was in Zathura when he was like 8 years old, so there he gets to be there too.
I was gonna say, what had Josh Hutcherson really been in prior to any of this? Like, was he kind of a no name? Not maybe not a no name, but like, was he a lower list actor at this point, and this kind of brought him up?
Other than Zathura, I don't know of anything else he's in. I don't know if you guys know what Zathura is, but it's basically Jumanji but in space from
mm,
like the 90s.
Sounds lame.
Oh, it's a good movie.
Speaking of Josh Hutcherson, I again haven't seen him in much of anything except for this. But have you seen the new Five Nights at Freddy trailer or the trailer they put out?
Yes,
He's in that.
no, I
and I'm
haven't.
excited.
But
That is something that I think we should talk about on here because the only reason I've gotten into Five Nights at Freddy is because of game theory. I've listened to everything that he's put out, so eventually I just came around to his
mm,
FNAF
I mean,
theories. It looks interesting, and
I know some of the lore, having never played the games. Oh.
I
I
think
had a
people who
FNAF
played the
phase.
games know some of the lore.
Mm,
I
That was
I
really
actually didn't
complicated.
play the games. I didn't play the games because I am a weenie and I didn't want to get scared. But I like the lore, so I had a FNAF phase where I like would just like dove into the lore to learn everything.
mm.
I'd
Yeah.
like to play
Can't
it
say I
someday.
remember all of it, but
Okay, here we go, Wesley. Before that movie comes out, we need to do a gaming video where we play FNAF for the first time.
All right, I'm down. Figure it out. See when it's going to come out. Maybe it won't come out till next October. I doubt it. I don't think it's early enough to come out this year.
Mm. No,
But I'm
they
not
would already
entirely
they
sure.
would already have an actual trailer and stuff out and a release date if it was coming out this year.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it might get delayed because people are whiny about things.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the writers' strike has finished up, but the actors' strike, I think, is still going on. From what I've heard, I don't keep up with all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, back to the Hunger Games. What do y'all have to say about the arena and what happens in the games?
I actually think that's really interesting because Plutarch Heavensby is the head game maker, and we know he's on the side of the rebellion. So he wants Katniss and, if possible, PETA to survive. And then he goes and makes like one of the deadliest arenas ever. like
Well,
like 12 different,
Think
like
about
it's
it
a
too.
small arena. So everyone is constantly running into each other. And then it's also just 12 sections of death. Like there's like in the 74th Hunger Games, the game makers will like add things in. Like when Katniss was getting too far, they sent a fire to send her back in the direction of the careers. But like just a constant like this happens and then this happens and then this happens and then like you better hope you're not running in the direction that the clock is going because by golly you would get tired.
That is one thing though that is shown at the beginning of it all is like he's laying it on real thick with snow, so it looks like he's a part of all this. He is a capital person, not a
Yeah.
capitalist, but a capital person.
I mean, it
Um,
works, hey, but I still think they're like, even with everyone trying to protect Katniss and Peeta, there's still a lot of times they could have died very easily.
yeah,
hmm
like, okay, you even see it like, okay, what if Katniss nodded off while they were in the fog area? You know,
Yeah. What if Peeta
dead.
hadn't won the fight in the water? He would have been dead. What if Finnick hadn't known CPR? He would have been dead again. You know, the
or the
monkeys were
yeah.
like very close to killing them. The fog was also very close to killing them. If Mags hadn't, given herself up, it probably would have killed all three of them.
Yeah.
That is one thing that's kind of sad is the fog with Mags. And so Finnick is obviously a part of the rebellion. He's there to protect Katniss and Peeta both. And so when the fog comes and now Peeta can't they have to carry Peeta. The only option is for Finnick to help or carry him. And Mags, I would assume, is part of the rebellion as well. And
Yeah.
she sacrifices herself. And Finnick here is like this mentor, this like probably grandmother figure to him. He knows what she has to do. He knows that she can't come with them.
Yeah.
And he
In the
has to
books,
watch this.
Katniss does try to carry her for a little while, but they don't get very far, and then
hmm
she ends up leaving. Um, One little tidbit. This is kind of a little bit of a headcanon of mine. It's kind of, I guess, implied if you're looking for it. But when they're watching the briefings before the games, and they go to Phoenix and Mags, and you see Mags volunteer for Annie. Um, Finnick hugs Mags, and she like kind of pushes him off and like faces him back towards the camera. I think that's because she didn't want everyone to know that like that was a main weakness of his because she knew going into it that she wasn't going to survive and she wanted him to be able to.
hmm
Yeah. He probably was one of the better ones going into that into those games because even going into his game when he won the first time, he was a skilled fighter. With it all, like he was no joke even at 14 winning the Hunger Games, and even much so now. This from what I was looking at, I think he won the 64th or 65th. So it's been about 10 years since he won his Hunger Games. So he's about 24, 25, somewhere in there. And how much more so is he that much more of a skilled fighter? I mean, we see him fighting in this. He's no joke. But like you said, like Mags being a weakness of his, he would risk his life to save her. And
He's hot.
oh, very hot. Right, David? Smile and wave, boys. Nod your head.
Also,
Sexy Harrison Ford.
I feel like the movies, this is one thing that I mean, they didn't do necessarily a bad job, but Phoenix, like, prowess in battle is like way more impressive in the books. Like, it's good in the movies. Like, you can see, like, he's a good fighter. He, is good with the trident. But, like, in the books, he weaves a net also. And, like, it's just like, ain't nothing getting in his
Also,
way. Like, he can just, like, snag him, stab, stab, stab.
is that thing even really a trident?
It's kind of like a big fork.
I'm talking about what he was carrying in the movie. Is it
Isn't that what
really
a
even?
trident is?
Well, I mean, it technically is, I guess, but instead of being like this, it's like this.
But doesn't it also have? I might have been just not seeing it right, but it looked like it also had a center spike too, so that would mean it's got four spikes.
I don't remember, to be honest.
So that wouldn't be a trident. But
What's
David,
the difference
all you
between a
need
trident and a pitchfork?
use.
the all the difference that's between all any of these is they're basically just a spear with more heads. So, hey, the more the merrier,
Like
right?
a hydra.
Mm-hmm.
Cut off one, two, take its place.
Well, I just meant it had a lot of heads, but sure. But yeah. Anyway, Finnick is like, I mean, it's like I said, it's shown in the movies, but he's very proficient
Good
at
looking.
fighting, and
Oh.
probably, especially even more so now than he was at 14, because, and even if, and we don't really have any reason to believe that the victors have been like practicing over the years, because why would they? But he's still, a 25, 24-year-old man instead of a 14-year-old, and like, you don't forget that much, So it's like
This
he's
is
probably
this.
even deadlier than he used to be.
I mean, that's about prime life.
I
your
mean, they
early
still
20s.
had, a couple months to train, because I mean, okay, so one thing that I guess is, I don't think it's explicitly shown in the movies, is that the victory tour is always halfway between each Hunger Games. It's basically like to keep it fresh on the mind, so people have to think about it more. But so right after they finish the victory tour is when the Quarter Quell gets announced, and that's when they know that the victors are going to be going back in. So, like for Katniss, she knows she's going to be going back in, and Haymitch and Peeta know they have a 50-50 chance, so they immediately start training, even though they haven't been reaped yet. So Finnick might have been doing that as well, but even with that, they're still all the time after they get reaped.
Did he have another person from his district? Because they only showed him.
I don't know. I would think probably, because District 4 tends to do better.
I don't think it's explicitly mentioned, but yeah, I would think there was another male.
Sarah, we have a crackhead in the house. Her name is Rosa, and she's a cat.
I love her.
She's hanging on our curtains.
I walked out of the bedroom the other day, and I look over, and she's like sunk into the side of the curtain. She goes.
That's what she was just
She
doing.
just stared at me.
And she's back over there. Yeah, I don't know what she's doing, but she's definitely on crack.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
Special diet.
Why are you feeding your cat crack? It's a big question.
Because it's
here.
fun.
You don't feed your
and
cat
funny.
crack?
David, this is why you don't have any cats.
Fair point.
He is a cat by association. His mom has a cat.
That's true.
Yeah.
They only have one or two.
One.
Just the one now, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say there's only one that I know of.
I couldn't remember. I know y'all have had different cats.
Unless you
through
have
the
news,
years, so.
David. Are you pregnant with a cat?
Moving on very quickly from whatever that might be. That is one thing Sarah mentioned in the movie is the cat changes color.
Yeah. In the first one, it's gray, and in the second one, in the Mockingjay, it's yellow. Which it should have been yellow, because its name is Buttercup, and it's yellow in the books. But,
All right. Does anyone have anything else to say about these movies?
We got Trailcast trivia coming up.
Are you ready to jump into
Is
that,
it time
Sarah?
for that already? Sure.
Yeah, we've already been recording for like 55 minutes, so we should probably go ahead and do this so we're not recording for like 3 hours.
I thought this was going to be a shorter one anyways, but I keep getting proven wrong with that. Sarah, I did send you the document that David sent me. I don't know if he sent it to you, but I added you in it.
I saw it. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to read it, because I didn't know if it had the answers.
You know what, David? I one-upped you because I did it more recently.
But I did it first.
Or David one-upped you because he did it first.
And that's not one-upping me. That's Downing
So-
me. I don't know.
I am allowed to
What?
look at it because I wasn't sure if it had the answers and I
No,
didn't want to
that-
spoil
it doesn't-
it for
That one
myself.
doesn't. That
It
one
just
doesn't
has the
answer.
options.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, the first time we did this, David had the answers, and I read them all.
Well, I could probably do this without the options, to be honest. So I'm just gonna.
Yeah, you could. So
use
you're
them
not
if I need
answering
them.
first.
I know.
You are not going first. I'm going first because I need to guess,
I know.
and then you can get it right.
All right. So, Trailcast trivia. We still don't have an intro.
Trailcast trivia.
Trivia.
Trailcast trivia.
Woman.
Trailcast
Hush.
trivia. It's trivia on the Trailcast. Ba-doom.
She ruined
You're welcome.
my song.
No, you ruined my song. Mine was way better.
Guys, okay.
I do it
Look
more
at-
often. All right, David, you
Let me
take
know
both
you
the
want me to
sound
record
bites.
that again for you.
You do both the sound bites and you mix them together.
You already
Make
did
it work,
that.
David. Yeah, well, I was interrupted. So, all right, ask the first question. I'm tired of this person over here.
All right. All right. Question number 1. Again, this one's fairly easy because Sarah just mentioned this. So, question number
Whoops.
1. What does the old man in District 11 do before everyone in the audience, do before everyone puts? Why can I not read? Do
Easy
before
for you to
everyone
say.
in the audience puts up the gesture to respect District 12. Is it A, he whistles the tune Katniss and Rue used to communicate in the Hunger Games? B, he shouts death to the Capitol? C, he shouts long live the Mockingjay? Or D, he calls out the names of Rue and Thresh?
Alrighty. So, as per usual, anyone who wants to play along, we will give a brief moment of silence after each question. And in that time, pause it, because after that, we are going to start spoiling things and answering the questions. So,
Your moment of silence
Sarah,
wasn't
I'm
a
going to
silent.
answer this. No, it's going to be a moment of silence. Oh, shut up. Anyways. So, Sarah, I'm going to answer this first because obviously I know you need me to help you with this. But my thought is I think it's A. He does the.
You didn't mention the fingers in the multiple choice that you just mentioned the whistle.
Well, in the
Oh,
question,
he messed that up.
in the question is before everyone puts up the gesture to respect of respect using District 12. So that's what I'm. That was in the question, not in the answer.
So he messed up, but it's okay. Sarah, what's your answer?
Oh, I was gonna go with A also because I wanted to copy you.
Yeah. So
Oh, good.
yeah, that's correct, obviously. But
Well, what's our score now, David?
you're both 1-0.
Oh, what do I have to get? It's time to still be 50%.
Why'd you have to ask? It's
There are-
only been one question.
There are 15 questions.
Okay.
So what's 50% of 15?
Don't ask him to do math.
Oh no,
I have
David,
a
what is it?
calculator.
Well, it's 7.5, but I'm gonna hold you to 8 this time.
Okay, cool. All right, next question.
Alright, so question number 2. Who does Katniss initially want as allies in the games? Is it A, Wyrus and Beatty? Is it B, Joanna and Finnick? Is it C, Mags and Chaff? Or D, Kashmir and Brutus?
Kashmir. I don't know this one, but I have a slight hunch. I am going to go with Mags and. What? Shut up.
Now, do you not know this one because you don't know names, or do you not know this one because you just don't remember?
We just
Both?
watched the movie.
I have a lot going on.
Uh-huh.
All right. So I'm remembering that she likes Mags and wants to help her, so I'm going to go with Mags and Chafing. Number C.
Okay. Number C?
Is it my
Fair.
turn?
Yeah, it's your
Number
turn. Sarah.
C. The correct answer is A, Wyrus and Beatty.
Really? Oh, that
Followed
sounds
shortly
familiar.
by Mags. She
Yeah,
says she
yeah.
wants Sabidi, and then he's like no, and then she's like, well then Mags.
Yes, that is
Oh.
correct.
Who's Wireless and Beatty?
The
What? Oh, the smart ones.
Yeah.
Mr. Wireman
Okay.
and TikTok.
yeah.
Who's Chafe then?
Chaff.
Yeah.
I don't care.
That's the guy who kisses her. He's missing an arm. He's a friend of Hamish's. Says, don't invite him over. He'll drink all your liquor. Okay. Were you even there when we watched the movie?
I was busy.
Okay, so Sarah is 2-0, Wesley's 1-1.
50%.
So far.
Is that all you care about?
Yes.
You know that's still an F, right?
50%, David, is above average.
No,
it is average.
Above average would be a B.
Shut up. Ask me the next.
They're not true or false questions, so that means you technically knew the answer of some of them. Probably.
Shut up. Next question.
All right, so question number 3. Again, really easy question. You're both going to get this right. Which Hunger
Did
Game?
you want to do research on this one, or
Which Hunger Games was in Catching Fire, and what was special about it? I don't even read you all the answers, but I will. Is it A, the 50th? It had double attributes. B, 65th. It was the same as every other year. C, the 75th. It was a Quarter Quell. Or D, the 100th. It was a Centennial Game.
I guess it makes sense that you said the Quarter Quell. I thought you would have said what was actually special about it, but like you did for the 50th. But my answer, and it is just a guess off of a whim because I don't know if I know this or not. It's the 75th. It was the Quarter Quell. There.
C.
Your C was backwards, so now it's a B.
C.
Are you saying C is in yes, agreeing with Wesley, or are you saying C is that's your answer?
Both of those are correct.
Yeah, so, yeah, you both got that one right. Yes, it is C.
3-0. We're on a roll now. Let's go.
That was really just a question I did so I could put it on Instagram and YouTube so people could get it right, feel good about that. But, question number 4. What district are Finnick and Mags from? Is it A, District 1 or District 3, B, District 4, C, District 5, or D, District 6?
They are from B District 4 because they're really good at fish.
Not fishing, just fish.
Fish.
That's
the
correct.
art of fish.
District 4.
Yes, you're both correct. It is District 4. Fish. Alright, so now, question number 5. What does President Snow smell like to Katniss? Wesley, you might not get
told
this.
you this one.
Yeah, Wesley, you might not get
I told him,
right.
so he should.
Oh, okay. So is it A,
You
blood
think I know so little?
Is it
I just don't know names.
Blood and roses, B, roses and smoke, C, dirt and blood, or D, my dyslexia, D, blood and smoke.
David, you gotta get your numbers right.
ABCs.
Next time, C, D, B. All right. I'm not saying I'm going to get this right, but I know that his mouth smells like blood and that he carries around a white rose to help with the smell, which I knew before you told me, Sarah. Oh,
Sure you did.
I knew that aspect of it. So I'm assuming that that's how he smells to Katniss. He smells like blood and roses. So that is going to be my answer, A, because I know he has the blood sores in his mouth and he has a rose to cover up the smell. So
that's correct. Also, the roses are not just regular roses; they're like bioengineered to be more perfumey than normal, and the smell of them makes Katniss sick. Specifically, the smell of them mixing with the smell of blood.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so Sarah, you are now 5-0. Wesley, you
We're
are
both 5-0.
4-1.
5-1. 5-0.
4-1.
I've been one.
All right, so question number 6: Who or what is Katniss named after? Is it A, her grandmother, B, a plant with edible roots, C, a historical figure, or D, nothing?
Put your hand down. You know, I've noticed that these moments of silence have been filled with a lot of talking
Yes,
on my
that's what I
part.
said.
Shut up. I'm not giving anything away. Anyways, I have no idea. I am going to go with the nothing, and then Sarah can tell you what the correct answer is. I feel like it's just there to throw me off, which it is, but I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to say nothing. She's named after nobody. I'll go 5-2.
You keep trying to give yourself an extra point.
It's a plant. It's a root specifically. Well, the root is the edible part.
Mm-hmm.
That's stupid.
Yeah, so it is B, a plant with edible roots. So, yeah, Sarah, you're 6-0.
I feel like you should have known that because her sister's name is Primrose.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and Wesley, you
They're both
are
named after plants.
you are 4-2,
50%.
not 5-2. You're 4-2.
50%. 50%.
All right. Question number 7. How long do tributes have to wait on their platform before the games begin? Is it A, 15 seconds, B, 30 seconds, C, 1 minute, or D, 2 minutes?
Okay, so I don't remember this, but I know it's between 30 seconds and a minute. I'm going to go with the minute because I think I remember counting down from 60 in the first one. But I don't feel confidently about anything, so least of all this. But all I have to do is get 50%, so I only have to get a couple more right. Whatever I'm at. So I'm going to go with whatever C is, a minute.
You're going to go with whatever C is, even if it's not a minute?
Well, I looked at it.
That's also what I'm going with.
And that is correct. It is
Yay!
C, 1 minute. All right,
I'm so good at this. Look at me go, Mom. Aren't you proud of me?
All right, question number 8. In the film, Gale was whipped for attacking a peacekeeper. What was he punished for in the book? Is it A, stealing, B, poaching, C, breaking curfew, or D, attacking a peacekeeper?
I have never read the books a day in my life. Put your hand down.
Okay. Sarah did mention this earlier.
What, it was different in the books or something?
I didn't mention that it's different in the books, but I mentioned what he did. Sort of. Sending you my thoughts.
First off, here's another thing that you have to think about. Here's another thing you have to think about. We're married, not twins. Here's another thing you have to think about, though. So I don't pay attention during this podcast, all right? I talk, and by a miracle of God, it just happens to be on the same topic as anyone else, okay? It's not on purpose. I just speak my mind, and it lines up somehow with what you're saying. So I don't pay attention. I don't know what she said. I didn't hear a word she said throughout this whole entire podcast. I don't remember a thing. Also, that was like 20 minutes ago. Let me remember 20 minutes ago. I don't remember 20 minutes ago. I'm going to go with poaching. No. Breaking curfew. I'm going to go with breaking curfew, and I'm going to... I don't know. Why not? don't
should
care.
have
He
gone
attacked the.
poaching.
What do they consider poaching?
So in the books, he gets arrested because, so like I said, the old peacekeepers would buy meat from them. So he catches a turkey and goes straight to the head peacekeeper's house. And when the door opens, it's not the old peacekeeper, it's the new peacekeeper. So he arrests him, and they like nail the turkey above his head on the whipping post.
You didn't mention that. You mentioned the
I
fact that the
mentioned
old
that they
peacekeepers.
hunt.
You mentioned the fact that they used to. You mentioned the fact that they hunted, which I knew, and you mentioned the fact that the peacekeepers would buy and sell at the trading place or whatever, because they were a lot less lax. You did not mention that.
She did mention that they poached, which that's what I was talking
I
about.
sort of mentioned it, yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't mention the fact that that's what he got punished for. We didn't talk about that.
No, that's why I said I sort of mentioned it. I didn't say it straight
Also, you didn't let me get finished. I was still debating what I was picking.
Oh, were
Honestly,
you
my
gonna say
answer was going to
poached?
end up. No, my answer was going to be attacking the peacekeeper just so I didn't have to think too hard. But I was just going down the list.
Okay,
I need to wait for you to say final answer.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so that puts Wesley at 5 and 3, and Sarah at 8.
I need to get 2 more or 3 more.
Okay, don't do math. Oh. All right. Question number
The next
9.
one.
When is Katniss's birthday? Is it A, January 12th, B, May 8th, C, August 21st, or D, October 16th?
All right, real quick. Let's see. I know that one. Let's see. I don't know that one. I know that one. So that gets me at 2 more. So 7.
Answer the question I just asked you. Stop trying to count
Don't know
how many
that
you're
one.
gonna get.
Ooh, I don't know that one either. I do know that one. So there we go. I can get 8. And hopefully I'm lucky. Alrighty.
Set
So
the bar
birthday?
higher, David.
Alright, so it's the birthday. I'm gonna go with January 12th, because I don't know this. But
Or
I
just
feel
add
like
in a
maybe
date.
it's June 30th. Anyways, it's January 12th is my answer, because I'm right, and that's what it's gonna be from
Is
now
that your
on.
final answer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you sure?
No.
Well, he already said it was his final answer. So, Sarah, I'm assuming
I actually
you know
don't
it.
remember this either, but I
Oh.
feel like it's January 12th for some reason. I'll go with A also.
I'm right. I'm amazing.
Well,
If
you're
it's
actually,
not, I feel like it's May 8th.
you're actually both wrong. It is May 8th.
Dang it, I knew it was one or the other.
Mm-hmm. So, Wesley.
So now
Wesley, you're
now
5
Sarah
and 4.
lost, and
Yes, Wesley, you're 5 and 4, and Sarah.
If
I
you're-
could
50%.
still miss every single one,
8
and
and
I'd still
1.
get 50%.
I'm 50%. I'm above 50%.
All right, and another one Sarah actually mentioned in the podcast. All right, and she actually mentioned it this time, not just alluded to it.
I
She actually
know.
mentioned it.
I know this one.
All right, question number 10. In the movie, Katniss got the Mockingjay pen in the black market. Where did she get it from in the book? Is it A, her father had given it to her, B, Gale had given it to her, C, her schoolmate Madge had given it to her, or D, she got it in the black market?
In the movie, to cut for time, she got it off the black market because they didn't want to introduce a whole another character. Boom. Knowledge. Anyways, I'm going to go with C. I didn't remember her being her schoolmate, but I do remember Madge being the one that
schoolmate.
gives it to her. Ski me. I didn't know they had schools in District 12.
Final answer.
Final answer.
Okay. That's correct. Also, a fun little tidbit is the pin was actually a hand-me-down to Madge from her aunt. who was Mansley Donner, who was one of the female tributes, who was in the same year as Haymitch. She was his ally.
Wow. Nobody cares, anyways.
Nobody likes you. This is
I
my
know.
show.
Why do you think I act this way? I know,
Can I
buddy.
kick you out?
I nobody likes you.
All right,
I know
Wesley.
nobody
Can I
likes
do
me.
that?
Wesley, you are 6-4. Sarah, you are
I know.
9-1.
And I have 2 more to go. I only have to get 2 more right.
Okay, but this time you're actually playing against someone, so you know. Did you really
Could
win?
try to
I don't
win.
care about that. I don't care about that. No. I know she knows more about this than I do. I'm winning
All right.
my
That's
own
why I'm
game.
here.
All right. Question number 11. The arena in Catching Fire is set up like a clock, with specific events happening every hour. What happens in the second hour? A. The giant wave. B. The monkey mutts. C. The poison fog. Or D. The blood rain.
Okay. So, I don't know this one, but I seem to remember the wave came from over here, and I think the strike is over here. So I think it's the blood rain because they were over here, and then the monkeys were over here. I think it was where they came from with the blood rain. So my final answer is going to be D, the blood rain, because I don't know.
I used to have these memorized. I don't anymore, but my line of thinking is that they see the lightning strike 12 times, and then after that is when the poison fog shows up. And then after that is when the monkeys show up. And I know that the lightning strike happens at 12. I'm assuming it's mutts, but it might be poison fog. If there's a gap there, I don't remember. I'm gonna go with mutts. The monkeys.
It is C. The poison fog.
I keep doubting myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Need
so
to stop that.
there was a gap there. So the monkey mutts was the third hour. Yeah. So that puts you at, say, Sarah at 9-2, Wesley at 6-5. You might be able to tie your score with last time, Wesley.
No.
What did they get last time?
He got 10-5 last time.
No.
Rooting
I'm
for
gonna
you.
get 8 and 7. I already know. Unless I get lucky.
Okay. Question number 12. What was District 13's main industry according to the Capitol?
What?
I know the answer.
Okay. He has to list off them first.
I
your
know,
hand
I'm
down.
waiting.
Is it A, nuclear research, B, construction equipment, C, engineering, or D, graphite mining?
I'm not gonna lie. When I first read over the answer, I didn't read the last part of it. And I was just like, oh yeah, they do nuclear. But I think I remember what it is, and I believe I'm gonna get it wrong. Graphite mining, I think, is what they were doing. Final answer.
Is correct.
Yes, that is correct. The Capitol had, well, basically didn't want anyone to know about the nuclear research, so they said that the District 13 was a graphite mining district.
Cool.
Alright, so that puts Wesley at...
They make pencils.
Yes, that puts Wesley at 7-5, Sarah at 10-2.
I only have to get another half question right.
Half question?
Only have to get half of it right.
Question number 13. In the movie, Peeta tried to get the games canceled by revealing that Katniss was pregnant. What did he do in the book? A. He proposed to Katniss. B. Nothing. C. He he said he and Katniss had broken up, or D, he said Katniss was pregnant.
Okay, so for simplicity, I'm just gonna go with he said Katniss was pregnant because that does seem like the biggest thing you could do to get the games canceled. You don't want a pregnant woman in there, even though they just completely gloss over it in the movie after he says that. But that's just gonna be my answer. I'm not gonna overthink it. D, he said she was pregnant. I go.
That's correct. They don't call him Pete if it weren't for the baby Malark for nothing.
Okay, despite that pun,
His
yes.
best moment.
Yes, that is correct. It was D. He said Katniss was pregnant.
What was that, David? What was that, David? What'd you say? What'd you say? What? Say that again?
50%.
What did I get that right?
Yeah,
Did I get that right?
Now let's see if you can beat
What does that put me
Sarah.
at? What does that put me at? What does that put me at, David? Getting that one right.
8 and
that
4.
single one right.
Wait, no, 8 and 5.
8 and 4. 8 and 4. 8 and 4. How many do I have
8
to?
and 5.
I don't care.
8 and 5.
How many do I have to get right to get 50%? How many?
8, but
David?
Yeah.
8. I have to get 8 right. That's it, and I have 50. I win.
You're
I won.
insufferable.
all right. So
Yes.
now you
listens to this.
just have to beat Sarah.
I have to listen to you.
But she's at 11 and 2, so you already can't. Even if she gets even if you get the next 2 right and she gets the next 2 wrong, she's still gonna have a she's still gonna beat you.
Here's the thing. I'm really bad at picking teams, but I'm a diehard through and through. I am a middle of the pack SEC team. Okay, I'm just like South Carolina. Well, on a good year. So you know what? I'm 8 and 5. I'll go 9 and 4.
You can't do that.
9 and 6. I know I did my math wrong.
Okay. Right. Question number 14. Who was the male tribute who's the male District 11 tribute in the 75th Hunger Games? Is it A, Thresh, B, Chaff, C, Gloss, or D, Brutus?
E2 Brute.
What?
You cut out and it just sounded like you screamed.
Sorry.
What?
I said E2 Brute. E2 Brute. No, that's not my final answer. I am going to go with Chaff because that's the only. I'm gonna go with Mr. Chafe over here, chafing, thick thighs or something. Because that's the only person I remember. Although I don't know if it makes sense for him to be it because you said he had one arm, but I don't remember. I don't know. I don't care. That's the only person I know. I don't know who any other people are. I know Thresh is. He's not from this one. I don't know. I don't know anything. That's my answer. Whatever his name is, whatever letter that is. B, Chaff. I have 50%. It doesn't matter anymore. Sarah, go ahead.
That's correct. For bonus points, the girl was Cedar.
Nobody cares.
I'm not doing bonus points,
Bonus point. I'm giving myself a bonus point.
but okay.
David, take it away.
He can't.
Give it to me. I deserve it.
Okay, so now, Wesley, if you get this last question right, you will tie with your thing from last week.
I don't care. Oh, I know this one.
Okay. Question 15.
I should know this one.
Which Hunger Games did Finnick win? Is it A, the 60th, B, the 65th, C, the 70th, or D, the 73rd?
So like we were saying in the podcast, I couldn't remember if it was the 74th or the 75th, but since you only 74th, 75th, 64th or 65th one, I couldn't remember which one it was. But since you cleared it up for me here, I'm going to go with the 65th Hunger Games, which would, I guess, put them at
20 24.
Yeah, 24 years old when he comes into it. So that's my final answer. 64. I'm amazing, whether I get this right or not.
That is
50%, baby. 50%.
You know, you just said 64, not 65, right?
I
I knew
don't
what
care.
you meant.
I know what you
Yeah.
meant. Yeah, 65. Yeah, yeah. Sarah.
I said B.
There wasn't another one that was close to that, so it's all.
But yes.
They ain't cut out, Sarah.
So what do I win?
Bragging rights.
You don't earn any bragging whites.
That's not very good.
Whites.
Bragging whites?
No,
What?
see, I will give. I don't know. We have some wipes somewhere. I can gift wrap them and give them to her. I don't know. It's like cleaning wipes, you know.
I think
like
I
Clorox.
deserve a treat.
You don't get any. But I, on the other hand, am still above 50% as an average so far for Trailcast trivia. So for me and only me, thank you.
Right. So
Sarah?
Wesley, you finished with.
I don't even get claps.
No. Better luck next time, Sarah. You should have known better and should have not lost 2 or 3. How many did you lose?
Two.
How many did you get wrong?
You only got 2 wrong. So Sarah, you
You
went.
should have gotten those 2 wrong.
So Sarah, you went 13-2. And
Where's the
Wesley.
Sounded
boo?
like a loser alarm.
Where's
Oh.
the boo? I need a boo.
And Wesley.
Thank you.
And Wesley, you went.
What's new? What's new?
Nobody cares.
What's new? What's new with you?
I got 50%. That's all I needed.
What's new with you? Yeah.
I guess Wesley's
All
trying
right,
to tell us
so-
we're going on what's new with you now. But Wesley,
So it's
you
great
got
that I went.
Wesley, you got 10-5.
I was gonna say it's great that I went above 50%. But we are on a new segment called "What's New with You," and it's not Ahsoka this week. So that being said, though, I appreciate all the fans who have been rooting for me. And
No
you know
one's
what?
rooting
we will
for
continue
you.
to go 50. We will be going 50% the rest of this year. We will be going 50%. Don't worry about that. So just keep supporting. Hey, we going strong. We're going strong. So
You
Good
know,
on you
what's new
for
with
knowing yourself, I guess.
you know, you kind of remind me of Garrett from Dude Perfect. He just like doesn't care about winning. He just wants to be in the top 3.
Yeah, exactly. So we're not losers here. We're just average. So my motto.
You're just
Okay, David,
average.
you're a loser, but I'm average. I'm average.
Uh-huh. But yeah, so what's new with you?
Well, that's a horrible question, Sarah.
I've been playing Mario Party and Mario Kart a lot with Wesley. It's detrimental to our relationship. He's a very bad loser and also a bad winner.
don't-
He's just bad
I don't-
in general.
No, I'm very good. I am undefeated so far.
Mm-hmm.
Don't play
In
Mario,
Mario
Party
Party.
with this man.
Mario Kart is a little different.
Anyway, I've also been playing Tears of the Kingdom some when I can. Watching Phineas and Ferb and I Love Lucy.
Oh,
I think that's all.
where have you gotten to in Tears of the Kingdom?
Not far.
Not far.
Don't spoil anything because I do plan on playing it at some point.
It's been a minute. I haven't played in like a week or two,
Mhm.
probably 2 or 3. But I was like up in the sky. I don't know if you're up in the sky for the whole game. Maybe you are, and that's not helpful. I'll find out later, won't I?
Okay, so you really haven't played that much then.
Just learned how to make things stick together.
Yeah, so you really have not played that much then.
I have a life.
David, speaking of games, I'm looking at the schedule now. When do I have to have Fallout 4 played by?
Uh,
Tomorrow.
yes, tomorrow. No, whenever the
That's not
show
happening.
comes out. We're gonna talk about Fallout whenever the show comes out. So
Oh, so I have time then.
We'd probably tell him like 2 weeks before that, though.
As long as I get 2 weeks off.
Mhm. Yeah, it'll be sometime next year. Probably earlier next year, like sometime like probably February or March. But
Ugh. All right, fine. I'll figure it out. David, what have you been up to? I'm dying to know.
uh, school, work, pretty much it. Although this past weekend I did watch the Dungeons and Dragons movies on Prime now. The Honor Among Thieves. I actually watched that. I'm wishing
Was it
now.
good? I wanted to see it when it came out.
I'm wishing now we had planned to go see to talk about the podcast because that movie was actually really good.
That's why I had heard that it was good, but like it just flopped because of the other movies that were coming out at the same time. And so it was basically sandwiched between movies that people would rather have gone seen.
So we
But
didn't go see it.
yeah, I think we had other things that we were talking about on here and other things we wanted to see. But apparently there was plans for a sequel, and because of the flop, there may or may not be one. I don't know. It depends on who's making it and what they're thinking about doing. But
I want a sequel to it because it was really good, but I
Yeah.
don't know if it's gonna happen. And now
I
I'm
need
kind
to
of
watch that.
now I'm kind of wishing I had gone to see it in the theater just to kind of support it more. But
Yeah. Hey, like you said, and you know, you've been doing work in school and you're busy with our stuff. It's hard to go to the theaters. It's just, I mean, I
Mhm.
do it for the job, but it's not easy. It's easier to just put a movie in at home and watch those things there. But
There's nothing good in theaters now. I wanted
all
to
right,
go
no.
last again,
Let's see.
but
I've heard the creator's pretty good, but I don't have any like connection to it or anything like that. I just heard that it was apparently a good movie,
Mhm.
at least visually or something.
I don't care to go see the Paw Patrol movie.
I think the only other
I know,
movie
right?
that's coming out this year that actually looks good is Battle Songbirds and Snakes. Although I am kind of worried they're gonna mess it up, but
I'm apprehensive.
yeah.
David, you might know this, but I was talking to Sarah about this. So, two questions. One, did the same person direct all three or four of the Hunger Games, and did they get that person to direct this movie?
Let's see.
We have
Maybe it came across
technology.
in your research.
I don't know. That's something I normally would put in like Trail Guys trivia, but I don't. I
Yeah, I
didn't
asked
actually.
Wesley if there was gonna be like questions about like actors' names and stuff, and I was like, I won't know that.
Yeah, she was asking me what the trivia was going to be about. It's we doesn't just
Yeah, I typically put different things in there. To try to.
Francis Lewis is directing The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Okay, he directed the first one. Let me see if he direct. I would assume he probably directed the others if he's also directing that. Let's see.
Yeah, he directed Mockingjay too.
And he directed
And Catching Fire.
Catching Fire. Yeah, yeah. So he did direct. He
So,
did
yes.
direct the four, and he's directing Battle Song.
so that could be promising.
The direction is good. There's a lot of shaky cam, which can kind of be a little nauseating sometimes, but it's usually used well. Like, it's usually used to hide some of the gore or to like put you more in Katniss's shoes. It's not like used for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I live a pretty boring life. So, are we gonna have the shortest "What's new with you" in
Come on, Wesley.
recent
You're
history.
telling me out of the past 6 weeks that we haven't actually done an actual What's New with You, that you haven't had anything new with you?
We started watching Teen Titans,
The good one or the reboot?
the good one.
Okay.
There is no reboot. What reboot? I don't know what you're
Exactly.
talking about.
Exactly.
We've also been watching the Batman, the 2000s one, not the 1991.
So not the animated
show.
series, but the Batman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Batman.
Yeah, that one's pretty good too.
Yeah. That one's. I feel like that's an underrated Batman TV show. Like, because most people, when you think of the animated Batmans, you think of Batman, the Batman, the animated series Batman, and I mean, this is good. Like, it's a good TV show. We were watching a couple of the episodes, and they have pretty intricate plots sometimes for
I was
being a
gonna
kids
say.
show.
There was one that, like, the twist, like, I did not see coming, which is not usually true for kids shows.
Yeah. So like the animated series is a lot darker than the Batman, but yeah, for the Batman being more geared towards kids, yeah, there are still some intricate plot points and stuff.
Mhm.
Which I think is like why I like some of like I guess kind of reminds me of like Clone Wars. Maybe not early on, but once it gets later on, like, it starts to actually get, it's still a kid show, but it starts to get more intricate plots and stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, David, you ask that nothing's happened in the past. Well, we've been talking about Ahsoka for the past, I guess it would have been 7 weeks because we put 2 in one episode.
Well, it'd been 6 because the first 2 were in one episode, and then 7.
Oh yeah,
5
we
and
did
6 were
talk
in
about
one
the
episode.
first 2.
Because they came out first.
It's only been a couple weeks. It's only been a couple
6
weeks, but I mean, let's be honest here. I do very little besides my work and then this. So, life is pretty slow. Oh,
Mhm.
We watched
fast,
Hall Pass
busy.
a couple weeks ago. Trying to
Yeah,
think
we
of any
did.
other movies we've seen recently.
You watched what?
All
Hall
pass.
Pass.
Oh,
It's a comedy.
yeah.
Not about school.
Got Bo Burnham in it.
Yeah.
It's in a very
He's in
small
it.
scene. I was about to say. You go. Oh, it's got Bo Burnham in it. It's like if you lead with that, nobody's gonna they're gonna miss him in the movie.
Yeah.
It's Owen Wilson. He's one of the main guys, and another guy. I don't
Just
remember
the
what his name is.
Girl.
Jenna Fisher's in it as well.
That's right.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. I was about to say, I know it
They're
was
like the
somebody
main
we knew.
couple,
Mhm.
and then their friends are also. Well, I don't remember the actors' names for that, but
Yeah.
and then Bo Burnham makes an appearance.
And here's the thing. I find it hard
The
to...
wives basically gives their husbands hall passes to cheat, and then it backfires on them because they can't actually
Well, it
get
doesn't-
women.
Huh.
Okay, so the premise of the movie is that the guys are like, it starts off and they're going into some party, and Jenna Fisher gets on Owen Wilson's character for checking out a lady, and so his friend comes up and it's like, you got to do it, like, they don't notice, like you can't let them notice that you're checking out another girl. And then it shows the girls talking, and they're like, yeah, my husband thinks that he gets away with it, but I see it every time. And it's like, yada, yada, yada. So anyways, with all this in mind, they're like, okay, we're going to give, because I think another lady gives them the idea to do a hall pass. And she's like, yeah, that's what I did to my husband, and, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, all right, well, we'll do that to our husbands. And so the whole movie's about them trying to get dates. And obviously they're 40-year-old middle-aged men who have no game, never had any game anyways. And then at the end of the movie, they're like, actually, we love our wives. We don't want to, this, that, the other thing. So it's an interesting movie. It's a comedy. It's a funny comedy.
Mhm.
So,
But see, that's kind of thing. Like doing the podcast, I feel like I don't have a where I would watch movies. I watch movies for the podcast. So, most of the
I
movies
have
that
no
I've
free time.
most of the movies I've watched recently, we talk about on the podcast.
Yeah. There's
Might
very
have been
li-
more
it,
than-
wa-
Go ahead.
it's a really good idea to have a segment, What's New With You? But but it's a really bad idea with the way our lives are structured.
This might have been more than 7 weeks ago. I don't remember. But we also watched Ghost of Girlfriend's Past, which is a really good movie.
No, we didn't. You
Yes, we
watched
did.
it.
No,
I didn't
I
watch
made you watch it later.
I must have fallen asleep because I don't remember that. One with Matthew
Well, we're gonna
McConaughey.
watch it tonight then, because it's a really good movie.
One with Matthew McConaughey. No. You mentioned that you wanted to watch it, but we didn't end up watching it that night.
Matthew Mahanake?
McConaughey, yes.
Matthew
Is he possessed? Do we need to do an exorcism or something?
I wouldn't work.
That's
but
another
you're
movie
welcome
that's
to
out.
try.
Like a 20th Exorcist or something.
Yeah, and the
I-
10th Saw.
Yeah. We were talking about that the other night, the Saw franchise. Again, all my knowledge comes from film theory.
Another franchise that just gets like worse every time they make another one. And then there's
Supposedly, this one is like the best one yet.
Huh. But then there's also
That's
a
what
weird
I
thing.
heard.
There's also a weird thing. I forget what it is, but there's also a weird thing of like one of the sequels is a sequel to the first one, but not the other sequels that came before it. So it decanonized like I don't remember the exact number, but it's like the fifth one decanonized the second, third, and fourth one, but it's a direct sequel to the first one. It's weird.
Well,
I
I
know
heard
we were
that
talking-
that the 10th one is supposed to be right after the first one.
See, they do that. They keep the first
I don't
one
know.
is the good one, and they keep trying to do good sequels to it.
We were talking about this the other day, but it's like I think Saul dies in like the fifth or so. In one of the later ones, he dies in it, and so all the ones after that, they like cram into the timeline between 1 through whatever. So like I think their timeline's a little whack because they couldn't figure out what they wanted to do with it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to actually have a timeline when you don't know what you want to do with it. That's why the sequel trilogy in Star Wars failed.
They had a timeline, they just didn't know what they wanted to do with it.
Isn't that what David just said?
No, he said something different.
Huh.
Are you sure?
I don't like the peanut gallery that we invited on to this podcast.
Well, I mean, was your
I've
idea?
always been told that I'm the best part of all of our videos.
I'm the only nuts needed in this podcast. And what I meant what I said.
Okay. Moving on. Not dwelling on
Our
that. Oh. Oh boy. Oh.
I didn't bring any nuts.
What?
David, you're being outnumbered.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I thought you didn't want me here.
I don't. Get out. This is my podcast.
Oh, okay.
I've already told David that.
It's
This is
fine
my
now.
podcast, and he produces it and occasionally comes on and talks.
I already told you Maggie and I are gonna take over.
I'm okay with that.
The car exploded.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Not the car! Not my car!
Okay, I think we're pretty
Is
much.
there anything else we're doing, or is that the end?
I think we're pretty much done. This conversation has just become like completely unstructured. So.
Trailcast. The show that gets so far off track, you'll have to stick around to see just where we end up.
I don't
We're
even
doing
know
really
where
good
we. I don't even
until
know
the
where
end
we've
there.
ended up.
We ended up in
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell if you were
What?
frozen or if you just like your brain stopped.
If he was frozen, or if he was frozen.
Exactly.
all right. Well, if we are done, then I think
I'm hungry.
as ceremonian, as
What?
as tradition,
Ceremoniously?
Sarah, no, tradition. You need to sign us off.
Oh no, I forgot about this part.
Shut up and then start talking again.
Wait, I remember a little bit more this time. I know I'm supposed to say, well, that's all we have for you today. I think. I might be thinking of something else that I listened to. Make sure you join us next week on the Trailcast. Do 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 do.
Copywritten, can't do that.
You know, as much as when Robert was on, he was making fun of us, and rightfully so, but he's still the only one who's gotten close.
I usually don't listen to the outro, not gonna lie.
Well, you got the first line and the last line.
There's
Missed
more
all
in
the
middle.
mumbo jumbo in between.
When I make it my show, I'll make my own outro.
All right, just
Works for me.
just cut.